Welcome, curious minds. Glad to have you with us again. Today we're embarking on, well, a pretty fascinating deep dive. We've got this stack of sources that really challenge how we usually think about things. You know, the universe, our place in it, even free will. We're specifically digging into excerpts from a YouTube transcript. It's called Chaos, Control, and Harmony, the secret code Clif High Explorer's Guide to Sci-Fi World. It goes into some really deep stuff, ancient philosophies, consciousness, even the future of society. So our mission today, let's try to pull out the key ideas, explore some, frankly, surprising facts, and help you connect the dots, hopefully spark some aha moments for you.
Yeah, and what's really striking about this material, you see, is the unique angle it takes on harmony and free will. It really pushes you to question the frameworks we usually accept without, a second thought. We'll be getting into what the source calls dualistic thinking throughout this discussion, and the implications that has for, well, personal liberation. It might make you reconsider your own view of reality and your own agency within it.
Absolutely. Okay, so first things first. To really get our heads around this, we need a different way to look at reality itself. The source introduces this method called retroduction.
Retroduction, right.
Think of it like a detective working backwards from a solid fact, something you know is real. And anything that contradicts that known fact, you toss it. Not because the fact is wrong.
No, not at all. It's because your understanding, your current model must be missing something.
Exactly. The source uses the example of UFOs. It says, look, their existence is demonstrable, undeniable. So if our current physics can't explain how they move, well,
Then our physics is incomplete. It's limited.
right. It doesn't mean UFOs defy physics. It means our physics needs an update to catch up with reality.
Yeah.
You shouldn't just dismiss the facts.
And what's really interesting is that this approach, this retroduction, by denying stuff that contradicts known reality, it consistently leads the source to this idea, the idea that everything fundamentally in our material world boils down to dualism, a binary choice.
And either.
Yeah, basically. It's presented as like the bedrock of how we perceive and interact with everything.
Okay, so starting from that binary idea, the source says there are really two fundamentally different kinds of physics operating, two ways to see existence.
That's right. Two main types.
On one side, there's what the source calls atheistic physics, and this is provocative language from the source, Jewish physics.
Mm-hmm.
This, it argues, is the dominant Western scientific view. You know, the idea that consciousness is the result of matter.
Like consciousness bubbles up from complex stuff, like brains, gluing bits of grit together, as the source puts it.
Yeah. And this approach, scientifically, often just dismisses consciousness as fundamental. It's treated like a side effect.
But then there's the other view. The source calls it ontological or Hindu-influenced physics. And this flips the script completely. Here, consciousness is the beginning, it's primary.
So matter, the grit, even space itself.
They're seen as creations, manifestations of consciousness. Without consciousness, the source argues, they wouldn't even exist as we know them.
Wow. And this isn't some new idea.
No, not at all. It connects deeply with an ancient Hindu system the source specifically calls a science. Not a philosophy, not a religion, but a science. It's called Samkhya. And according to this source, it was a gift from Kapila, described as a red-headed Aryan from the north post-flood, offering a framework for understanding reality.
Samkhya. Okay, so this ancient science, as the source interprets it, influenced a lot of later stuff, like Buddhism.
Yeah, Buddhism, and the source even claims controversially aspects of the Talmud, though the Talmud itself insists it's self-referential. But the core idea of Samkhya, it's about two fundamental realities.
The binary again.
Exactly. There's the absolute, which is pure consciousness, and the manifest, which is the material world we see and touch.
And the manifest is inferior.
Inferior in the sense that the absolute consciousness is primary. Without the conscious observer, the material world couldn't be perceived, couldn't exist in that view. So consciousness is the superior, the fundamental reality, and we, as individuals, were described as jiva. Think of them as individual sparks or encapsulations of that absolute consciousness. And through our perceptions, our experiences in this material world, we learn about ourselves. It's a journey of self-discovery.
Okay, this paints a picture of a universe with a definite purpose, which really bumps up against scientific models that often say the universe is purposeless.
Right, it absolutely does. That's the main point of friction. Conventional science often leans towards randomness, chance, physical laws without intent. But this Samkhya-informed view, it says the universe has a purpose. And that purpose is
Novelty.
Precisely. For consciousness to discover novelty. That's the whole point of the Materium, this physical reality. Its design, the source argues, to constantly generate the new, the unexpected.
Okay, the universe needs novelty. That's a
Yes.
lot to take in. So how does that connect to something as personal as free will? This is where it gets really interesting, you said.
It connects directly because free will, in this perspective, isn't just about choosing coffee or tea. It's seen as a vital tool. A tool of the absolute one, the universe, or God, depending on the tradition, like Cathari, Christian, Muslim interpretations mentioned.
A tool for novelty.
Exactly. The purpose of free will is to allow for genuine choices. Choices that create novelty the absolute wouldn't know beforehand. Because if you're absolute consciousness and you already know everything, well, the source suggests novelty becomes very difficult to create. Free will introduces the unknown.
But our physical world, the Materium, it often feels so deterministic, cause and effect, true randomness seems hard to find. Even, like you said, computer random number generators aren't truly random. They have design limits.
Right. They operate within parameters.
So if the universe wants novelty, but we're in this seemingly deterministic system, how does our free will actually, break through? How does it introduce something really new against these layers of design patterns the source mentions?
Well, the source suggests something quite counterintuitive. It says the universe has layers and layers of design patterns that actually obscure everything. This obscuration, this complexity is what allows novelty to pop up. It creates the space for the unexpected.
Like the universe hiding things from itself, almost.
Kind of. It ensures there's always something new to discover. It reminds me a bit of what Terence McKenna talked about with hyperspace journeys. He described novelty as the currency in those deeper states of reality, the driving force.
So pulling that together, what does it mean for us then, our free will?
It means free will is this profound tool, maybe even a responsibility given to conscious beings. Like us, it requires aware consciousness. An insect doesn't have it in the same way, according to this view.
Right.
Our choices aren't just personal, they're contributions to this massive, ongoing, universal project of creating novelty. We're participants.
Active participants in cosmic creation. Wow.
And this ties directly into Samkhya's ultimate goal. Individuation, leading to liberation.
Individuation, becoming truly individual.
Yes. Realizing your unique spark of the absolute consciousness. The source points out that even Buddha was informed by this kind of thinking. Buddha apparently said religion is useful for those who need it, but the real path to liberation, that's individuation, self-realization, not just following religious dogma.
So how does the source view organized religions then, if individuation is the goal?
It presents them, and really any large centralized structure, as degraded forms of the science of Samkhya. It calls them collectivism.
Collectivism, meaning they condition awareness, focus you outward?
Exactly. They condition perception, often focusing on an external god or authority figure, which limits direct individual experience. This is contrasted sharply with individuation, which is described as an actual experience, almost like a Zen kind of approach. Direct understanding not mediated by a collective belief system.
But the source isn't saying religion is bad, necessarily.
No, not at all. It emphasizes that while the universe might favor individuation for novelty, not everyone is ready for that path. People in religions shouldn't be judged, it says. Religion serves a purpose for many, maybe as a step towards greater awareness, even if it's not the final step of individuation itself.
Okay. And the source gives examples of these collectivist structures, making some pretty strong claims.
Yes, very strong and frankly controversial claims. It's crucial we just report what the source states here.
Right. So it describes Catholicism as pyramidical, centralized, and then makes this claim that it was allegedly taken over by the Khazarian mafia since 325 AD under Constantine, saying Constantine consolidated 1,200 Christian sects into one controllable unit. Again, this is purely the source's claim we're relaying, not established history we're endorsing.
Absolutely. Just conveying the argument from the material. It also points to rabbinical Judaism as a tightly knit, centralized network, even without one single leader like a pope. And Islam, with its different sects, is seen as a mix of structures, but still fundamentally collectivist.
But there's a contrast, an alternative example.
Yes, the source highlights Catharism. It describes them as decentralized, no central operating structure. More of a personal experience religion focused on techniques, not rigid doctrine.
Techniques, like what?
Well, the source claims their origins trace back to Vedic India and that they used psychedelic drugs quite deliberately to achieve ecstatic states, direct experiences. Their view, according to the source, was that the absolute consciousness is good and the manifest material world is bad, or at least limiting. Liberation came through personal spiritual work.
And this Cathari background, the source suggests, leads to a deep suspicion of organizations.
Exactly, a deep distrust of organizations and collectivism in general, seeing it as inherently reducing free will, going against the grain of the universe's need for novelty. It's like that Aikido principle you mentioned, harmony through flexible alignment, not rigid control. Distrusting collectivism is presented as aligning with the universe's drive for individual novelty.
So how does the source apply this idea of collectivism being anti-novelty to things happening now?
It broadens the concept significantly. It argues that things like, and I'm quoting the source's terms here, the web, climate stuff, and infiltration of governments are all contemporary collectivist movements. And because they're collectivist, they are inherently anti-free will and anti-novelty, trying to homogenize thought and experience.
It even brings in economics.
Yes, it makes another very provocative claim about the Jewish banking system, arguing it's inherently anti-free will and anti-novelty. The reasoning given is that it allegedly suppresses innovation that doesn't fit its control structures. It uses Nikola Tesla as an example, suggesting his work, often done outside major banking, might have been stifled otherwise. Again, crucial to state. This is the source's specific argument presented here for understanding, not as our factual claim.
Right, and even scientific consensus gets lumped in.
Yes, the source equates scientific consensus with a form of control that can stifle individual breakthroughs and genuinely novel discoveries. It sees consensus as potentially limiting, not just clarifying.
It's fascinating how the source sees this control versus free will dynamic everywhere, even in old TV shows. Maxwell Smart.
Yeah, Agent 86 from Get Smart. The source points out 86 is old slang for cancel, get rid of, no longer served.
And Agent 99.
99 means completion, the goal, terminus. So the argument is that media, even comedy, constantly embeds messages promoting control, Agent 86, and completion, Agent 99, which in this view works against the open-ended novelty creation that free will enables.
Subliminal messages against novelty.
That's the idea presented. And this all leads towards a prediction the source makes about a big shift, the age of Aquarius.
What's that supposed to look like?
A very weird world, according to the source. A time when traditional governments fall away, not necessarily violently, but because people just realize they don't need them in the same way. They start making their own arrangements.
Sounds chaotic.
Extremely chaotic, the source predicts, especially at first, but also a huge opportunity. An opportunity for a new kind of harmony to emerge, one that's fully aligned with free will and massive novelty creation. The source points to places today where central governments are weak and people just figure things out locally, decentralized. A possible glimpse of that future, self-organization taking over.
So bringing it back to harmony, like Aikido, harmonizing with energy, rejecting forced collectivism and embracing individuation. That's seen as harmonizing with the universe's purpose.
That seems to be the core message, aligning with that fundamental drive for novelty, for individual contribution, rather than trying to impose rigid, top-down control systems that stifle it. It reframes our individual choices as part of a much grander cosmic dance.
Well, this has certainly been a deep dive, a really unique perspective on consciousness, the universe's push for novelty, and the real weight of our own free will. We've touched on how ancient ideas like Samkhya, as presented here, see individuation as the path to liberation, and how being skeptical of collectivism in all its forms might actually be a way to harmonize with the fundamental purpose of existence itself. It definitely challenges everyday assumptions.
It really does, and it leaves you with a powerful question, drawing from the source material itself. The source suggests that while many might hear these ideas now and not fully grasp them, there could be a single utterance down the line, maybe something undeniable, like a traumatic, unmistakable shift in, say, medical industry statistics that suddenly brings all these concepts into solid focus for everyone. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What single, pivotal, undeniable fact could be the catalyst that completely reorients how we collectively understand reality, our purpose, and the true potential locked within individual choice?